All right. Cool. Go ahead and get started. Immediately following up from what we talked about on Tuesday, we were pretty much anticipating the continuation up until here. Up to the point we were technically still bullish, right? And if we look internally, right, the bias kind of shifted once we had taken out a previous high. So the call was around, I want to say like, it was definitely before 1, so it was like 11, 12, right? So we were around here. So the unfortunate thing is, as soon as we obviously challenge a high, we take liquidity and lead into a liquidity grab. So that immediately, once this is taken out, especially after that internal liquidity grab, you have the external occur, and that pretty much takes out this entire bias. It pretty much changes the entire bias just because of the reaction present after we take out liquidity based on the previous bias. Just because you guys know we were still bullish up until then. So once that converts, obviously we have the break of structure immediately following after the internal and external liquidity grabs here. So once we actually see the solidified low be made, you have a high low retracement, right? And this premium is pretty much makes a lot of sense after the failed conversion into the upside. So yeah, pretty much switched our direction there. And as we can see, that's pretty much why we're starting to challenge lows. And I don't want to only acknowledge that this happened. And by that, I mean this. I don't want to just note that that happened, because if we zoom out, you can see that technically we have a high and low into a high retracement, right? This is technically now in willingness now that we've taken out the major structure point here. This is what kept up the bullish order flow, the bullish internal structure. This low is very, very important. Excuse me. And as you can see, even prior to the slow, we had a very strong bullish reaction, meaning there's definitely something important there. Although it was just, you know, a premium of a failed conversion structural range into high-low retracement, right? But it's important to note that this significant low that we had acknowledged last Zoom is, you know, very, very important, because it really gave you a, you know, if this is going to continue, it's obviously not going to break, and if it's going to convert, then it's probably not going to, it's probably going to break, right? So now that I'm looking at this, let me delete some stuff. Okay, delete this. All right, so I'm going to zoom out a bit, and I'm trying to see now what technically makes sense from, you know, just what we are seeing. So we know that we were bullish, right? And we still, you know, I'm still trying to keep in the back of my mind the POI that we had referenced, which I believe was from the daily. No, not from the daily. Dailies were the internal ones. The weekly, yeah, the weekly inefficiency point here. And as you can see, it's you know, trying to give us a reaction, just because internally this is technically almost unwillingness until this low obviously is fully taken out. But internally that is, you know, unwillingness. So once we start to zoom in again, right, we already talked about pretty much this, which is the potential failed flag here, and here, right? So we had already acknowledged that for what it is. We had the failed conversion via liquidity grab, right? And you can even see the external liquidity grab based on slow coming into a premium. That completely changes the bias. So because this high has now created this new low, we now have a solidified low based on the continuation BOS. So realistically, it only makes sense for me to want to take some type of position based on right, the continuation wick here, and obviously the whole wick of interest. This entire area would be premium. That is technically what should make sense to make that pretty much downside continuation up until at least, I would say, there. It just makes a lot of sense because of the failed conversion into the upside. That shows that effort is more so not supporting a bullish bias, but now converting into a bearish sentiment. So for now, because of what had happened after our zoom on Tuesday, kind of had to switch the bias there. And as of now, we even bounced off of the inefficiency fill. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how we react here internally, because technically there is a liquidity grab there. So let's see how this converts. We just had the continuation BOS. So this is just a pullback initiation. For all we know, this could still obviously give us a little bit more upside. So I really want to see how we will react here next week, especially after this week. It's a bit uncertain still, but that is also evident in how we, caused that structural disruption here. That pretty much shows uncertainty for that continuation bias, and it's starting to make you question it. So now I'm trying to see how we will react, right, over the next, probably Monday, Tuesday. Probably by Tuesday we'll probably know for sure. But yeah, let's see if we can start coming back into taking out previous equal lows. And if that is fully taken out, then we're seeing a potential big move, just because we are seeing the potential conversion, right? This is giving me heavy vibes of pretty much what had happened with AU. All we need is the follow through itself to pretty much fit in, because this structural disruption, right, this failed flag is kind of similar a bit to how the AU scenario had played out a couple weeks ago. So yeah, that brings us to AU. With AU, all right, let me actually see what we had with the notes. Right, so we had the continuation bias. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were bearish on all of our pairs up until obviously today. So we were pretty much, I believe, around here. Yeah, around 12:30. So internally, right, leaving just pretty much exactly where we had left off, we created a new low. This new low solidifies, well, after we have the continuation BOS here, we pretty much solidify a high into low that broke structure that's in alignment with our previous structural range. So the continuation was obviously via the inefficiency in play. Right, the inefficiency in play creates a reaction, right? And because that reaction does not take out a previous low, right, this internal liquidity grab pretty much changes the entire sentiment, because this internal unwillingness leads to more breaks of structure, which makes this overall unwillingness based on high, low, retracement, unwillingness, break of structure. And once again, that's why these wicks, right, these pushes to the downside are technically just discounts, because this is your invalidation there, right? And there is very clear order flow right here. And I believe this was yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. But that is pretty much what changed the entire bias, right? Where a discount, which would be here, is based on, and this is what I mean by discount. This discount is based on right, based on the order flow disruption present here, right? So that is pretty much, you could say, argue that that's a model, and you could see that the discount occurs immediately after the model had occurred, which obviously took time. As you can see, after the order flow disruption, it took about 12 hours afterwards. So as you can see, you don't really necessarily have to focus on always catching the immediate continuation after order flow disruption, right? Even though this is technically a bit of picking a low still, because at this point I would still say we were not full on bullish, but also not fully bearish too, just because of potential unwillingness, liquidity grab we just brought up. But it could have just been a fulfillment of inefficiency, and it could have continued lower. So that's why you kind of want to let the model of itself form before you find obviously your conservative entry. And up until now, that's pretty much what has brought us higher price action, and it's all based on the area that we had referenced. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I believe it was 2 weeks ago that we had acknowledged this. So as you can see now, 3 things that could happen to the POI. We brought this up last Zoom, right? You can see the liquidity grab, right, led into the model, which led into the conversion, into the discount, and the follow through. So that takes out previous structure. That makes it fully bullish in my eyes. Any real dip now could be a continuation higher, but I also have to be wary, right, of what happened today. And what do I mean with that? Well, we already had, you know, a pullback today. Like if we zoom in here, you can see. We zoom in here, right? We obviously took liquidity. You can see, it's interesting to see here. You guys can see the 2 different character shifts here, right? So you see more corrective, right? More efficient. And then you see the inefficient start here, right? And it's pretty interesting to see how that character is almost where we come back and fulfill, because I believe if we zoom in even more, we could see a bit more. Let me see. I was looking at this earlier today too, before Zoom. If you go to M1, right, yeah, you can see here, right, this isn't actually where the character shifted. You can see the character is still relatively the same up until like here, right? And that's where we have the burst of momentum and then the continuation. So you could say that the character changed here, right? Because up until here, we're still corrective and then momentum. And it's funny how that's actually where we come back in price. I just thought that was super interesting. But we already had our pretty much our pullback occur here, right? Because we have the continuation BOS, right? And obviously it was liquidity, but it's still a continuation BOS, and that led into the liquidity grab. So technically, you know, it's conflicting whether you want to try to find that continuation or if you want to wait. If you do get a full-on pullback and you do get the conversion, excuse me. If you get the conversion here, then obviously that would be a much bigger trade. But yeah, been super interesting. It's cool to see this pretty much showing character and effect, how character, you know, character changes, right, signify potential inefficiency recoveries. But yeah, that brings us to EU. This one I don't remember. Okay, I do remember now. The continuation, right, via the continuation BOS and the failed flag here, conversion that we had talked about. So this is what I'm afraid could happen here as well. I'm afraid that that could happen here as well. This is why I'm telling you, you always want to be aware of both biases, because for example here at the time it is you are technically bullish, you know what I'm saying? I mean bearish, I'm sorry. You're bearish, and you can clearly see, you know, that there is, right, obviously there's a POI reaction here. Like there is the continuation wick, right? There is a mitigation there, and there is, right, a reaction present, right? So that signifies that this entire bias was correct, right? So you don't need to beat yourself up if this gets a reaction and obviously could break even or something like that, right? That technically, right, at the moment is, right, bearish, and you can see that at this moment technically you are bearish. So where do you convert? Well, technically here, but because this then takes out the POI, that's order flow, that's order flow disruption. So your continuation invalidation would have been there. So this, obviously you could see that the invalidation was not met, and that then led to clearing liquidity, right? So after we clear liquidity, I don't really care about this, but I just want to acknowledge, right, that we have pretty much a whiplash here. You can see the whiplash, right, and the whiplash. So whenever I see whiplashes like that, just tend to zoom out a bit, right, see what's happening. And because my bearish bias was invalidated here, and then obviously the continuation BOS here, right, not the continuation BOS, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. That would be considered a continuation BOS. But what I'm trying to get at is with the continuation BOS here it's present. Actually, let me take out these. Right, so with the continuation BOS present, all right, and we're starting to see these whiplashes, we zoom out. So what am I seeing, right? I know up until here, I was bearish. So because this leads into a break of structure, I can delete all this stuff now. I'm not going to, but I'll probably do it off screen. But we can very clearly see, right, the internal liquidity grab, right? So that's pretty much supporting, right, the conversion and the potential reversal, because this, obviously this move here caused the liquidity grab, which invalidated the original bearish bias that we had originally had. This, right, the continuation break of structure to the downside is only solidifying the high, right? So it's pretty much just a discount. Same thing with that we've been seeing with AU and stuff. So this discount, even if there wasn't an entry, right, all it is a discount because it changes the bias after we have the failed reaction into the continuation BOS, and we take out the retracement of the previous leg. You know, that kind of converts your entire bias, like this right here. This right here converts the entire bias, and that's why you see the discount before you fly. So now it's interesting, right, because up until this point, you can argue that you are still bullish, right? But now, to play devil's advocate, right, we have a high, and then we have obviously our low. You could even argue that right there. But you have the internal liquidity grab. So what does that mean? That means that internally, right, although technically we want to argue the bullish bias, which you still can, and technically where the wick of interest, I mean the discount that we had just acknowledged first, this could also be a relative POI, just that we have done with DXY and, you know, obviously with AU. So because this wick is considered potentially a wick of interest, right, I'm trying to see if this continuation BOS is either going to be a sign of reversal, right? Because technically you can argue this as a liquidity grab, and we're still in high-low retracement, liquidity grab, potential continuation because of liquidity grab. But, you know, I'm going to be open to this, and I also want to be open to whether we're going into a premium and, you know, potentially dying there, but I don't really see much of a POI to reference, right? Even on H1. Yeah, it's just outside of here, it's a bit hard to justify, but then you see wicks here, so there could be something internally, so not the cleanest. So yeah, I really want to see whether we're going to pretty much go like this, or go like that. You never know, right? But if I had to argue a bias, I would definitely say, because of the gray box, I would definitely say we're still short-term, at least short-term bullish, right? But depending on how we react here, right, or if we come back here first, then I'm really going to be able to have, you know, enough data to, you know, just have a true bias. But yeah, although the bias has changed midweek, it's going to be interesting to see because we have been pretty bearish for a while now, especially with AU. So if we could get some type of conversions, and we get, you know, the full-on bullish move, then who knows, we could actually see a pretty big trade. But yeah, let's see. Do you guys have any questions? How's everybody doing? Let's see. Doing good, tiring week? Yeah, man, I feel you on that one. This week went by too quick, man. I was trying to enjoy a little bit of a spring break, but back to school on Monday. Yeah, we were on spring break. Today's pretty much the last day. It's kind of why I was just trying to relax for a bit. Oh, I don't know. Nah, bro, I don't. No. Why would I tire myself out with a trip when I'm already tired? No. I don't know. People like traveling. I don't really like traveling. I think it's exhausting. Only Easter? Alright, cool. So do we have any... Do you have any studies you guys want to show me? Bro, that's the college life, bro. That's... I don't know. That college life is such a waste of time to me. I'm getting kind of too old for that too. Like, I'm 22, bro. I can't be hanging out with 18-year-olds at parties. Yeah, here in Texas, people go to they go to Padre. What is it called? Something Padre. But yeah, did enter EU earlier, but I'm out of the trade. Let's see. Trying to see what you were trying to trade. Maybe you were selling, I don't know. Buying where? Yeah, I see it, yeah. What are you basing it on though? I mean, I don't see what you're basing it on. I see that. No, I know why you have a bullish bias. That's not what I'm questioning. I'm questioning your entry. I can see why you're bullish. No, I know what you're saying, but let me see. Because what I'm saying here is I do see this. So this probably would have made me not buy here. And there's no POI here to play off of. Maybe M5? No, like, because I would have seen this as preliminary structure, and then I would have seen this as order flow. So even though we're bullish here, bearish here, so I would have wanted that to sweep liquidity or something, or give me some type of conversion, right? Which would have been in the form of here. So the disruption would have technically led there. Yeah, bro, that's called liquidity. That's called liquidity. That's why we acknowledge these major swing points. That's why we acknowledge solidified points on higher time frames as big liquidity points. That's why we acknowledge this. Look. That's why we acknowledge this, bro. What is this? It's called liquidity. Like, I don't think you guys understand. Like Coast does not trade like some magical method. Like, you guys understand that, right? Like, I can tell how he trades majority of the time. Like he literally trades concepts from RCV just in his own way. You guys know that, right? I don't know what you're referring to. But if you want to connect that to volume, liquidity, volume, right? High volume. And where did we mitigate from? The previous area where the big volume was. So how come the volume wasn't taken out here, bro? Like I don't know what you're getting at here. Alright, so are you gonna like follow up? Are you gonna follow up, Nico, or like what? What's going on? Hold on, I'm waiting for Nico to answer, bro. And then you can show me. You can get it ready or start sending over some stuff. Yeah, it's all good. I'll just move on. Yeah, you can just message me later. Yeah. Alright, cool. Let's see that POI. Okay, see inefficiency. Hold on, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, moving this. Yes, yeah, I would see that as an efficiency, yeah. But probably not on this time frame. What time frame is this? This is the M1. That'd probably be like M3. I was mostly just focusing on how momentum slowed down. Yep. So by that, do you mean high momentum, and then you mean slow momentum here? And you're pretty much studying this? Is that what you're trying to say? Okay, yeah. Yeah, this is so this stuff here, this right here, this is like Falco stuff right here. This is like how he trades and stuff. But yeah, I would see that as an efficiency. But it's cool, man. You can see like, for example, 1, 2, 3, all those continuations internally. That's pretty interesting. I think they're super cool to see, but I just don't like showing them too much just because I don't want you guys getting stuck on M1. But it is interesting to study that. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? But yeah, interesting. All right, cool. Do we have any more questions, guys? Excuse me. Cool. I guess we can wrap it up early today. I know I have a couple of DMs I need to get back to. Chris, I have your DMs, bro. Like yours is probably like on my priority list, just because I know I've pretty much held yours the longest. But yeah, bro, I'm gonna get to them. It's just like I said, it was my spring break, so I was trying to chill for a little bit, at least a day or two, you know. Yeah, man, back to the hustle next week. Yeah, bro, don't worry. I got you, bro. I got you. As long as I haven't opened any of the DMs, so I have all the notifications. Like, there's a lot that I know that I should have responded to a couple of days, but yeah, it's my fault. But yeah, for sure. I apologize for the wait. But unless you guys have some more questions, we can go ahead and end it here. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for hopping on. If you guys need anything, let me know. And I hope you guys have a great weekend.